And so, good evening. My name is Joe White, and I'm here with Todd Whitley and with our guest this evening, Portia Munson. And so, how we normally structure the proceedings here is we begin with a brief summary of what Masterwork Foundation is up to, and that's our friend here, Todd's job. So take it away.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. The Masterwork Music and Art Foundation has been around for over 60 years, supporting excellence in the arts. And today, we do so by offering a number of grants, a Premier Award, a $10,000 award that goes to an artist. We have community arts grants that go out to different community organizations, and competitive awards that we offer. We have free classes, and this series here, Life in the Arts, where we celebrate the lives of people who've dedicated themselves to the arts. And tonight, we're very fortunate to have Portia Munson with us, an acclaimed visual artist whose work is so stunning. If you haven't seen it or aren't aware of it, you are going to be so intrigued and interested in finding out more about her after this interview. And with that, I'll hand it off to our beloved Joe White.
Anyway, I really the visual artists who it's been my privilege to speak with on this program really knocked me over, and your work is no exception. It's just really wild and fun and fascinating, and under the fun sometimes there is a little bit of a little knife being twisted in there, but that's but the best art always does have that. And I'm so I don't know, I have notes here that Todd prepared, and so the first is the description of what's about you in Wikipedia. And it says that you're an American virtual artist who works in sculpture, installation, painting, and digital photography. So that's a whole bunch of different disciplines. But what's the one that you're most drawn to, and that, or does the subject matter you want to communicate then tell you what medium you're going to be working in?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. Thanks for inviting me. And it's really my pleasure to be talking with you this evening about my work. I was first a painter, so I feel like that kind of is an underlying medium for me to sort of explain the world through painting. But that kind of doesn't get at everything. So I like to keep myself open to working in any medium. And I typically work back and forth in all different ways. Like today, I spent time doing scans, making scanned images. I worked on my assemblage pieces, more sculptural pieces. And I also spent time drawing. And then this evening before coming to this discussion, I was painting. So I kind of like am every day working in a whole variety of different ways.
Well, one thing I notice, and I'm going to start with, I'm going more or less in the order in which you gave us a wealth of images, but the thing that I find really fascinating about this and about one other image is that this is an assemblage, but if you look at the slide that is created from it, it could be a painting, because it's really not, I mean, And this is another one of those places where there's the knife. I mean, I look at this, hold on. Let's not go on talking about it. Let's show it. So here, and let's see if I can make that so people can see it. Anyway, so there. Now this is a whole collection of objects. And besides that it will burn out the pink receptors in your retina, but it has also the context that these are all objects of our femininity in our culture, which is kind of like where the little part I said about the knife being underneath sometimes. But the thing is that this could just as easily be a composition for a painting. I mean, you know, your eye is drawn the way you would be in a painting, but yet it's a whole bunch of objects that have their own meaning and their own social and personal significance. So anyway.
Yeah. So this image is of a detail of a piece called Pink Project Table, and this is the heart section of the table. And the table is about 8 feet wide by about 14 feet long. And it's made up of all of these found pink plastic objects that are just, or most of them are plastic, that are found inexpensive objects and laid and arranged sort of in different themes of function and shape. And the pieces are not attached to the table. They're just arranged, just set up on the table.
Well, which the claim that I have to participation in the arts is many years ago, and primarily as a theater artist. And one of the things about that is both its blessing and curse is that it's ephemeral. You know, if you weren't there that night, well, too bad. So this also is ephemeral. I mean, I guess you could glue them all down if you really had a mind to do that, but actually that ephemeral nature is kind of neat.
It's not, I mean, it is made up of kind of throwaway type objects, but I have this piece and it's all packed up, and the way it's reassembled is by looking at photographs of it and then putting it back together. And it's not essential to me that every single piece goes in the exact same location, but close, you know. So so that's how it's done. And this was last shown at the Frieze Art Fair in London in 2016. It's currently, I'm storing it right now, and I don't know exactly when it'll be shown again, but it was premiered at the New Museum in New York at an exhibition called the Bad Girl Show, which was in 1994.
So I'm going to move on to the next. Can I have the next slide, please? Hold on, I've got to get the cursor. There we go. And this is another pink theme. Is this part of the same project? No, it's not the same piece.
No, this is called, the other is called Pink Project Table and was done first. And this piece is called Pink Project Bedroom. And so it's made up of all these different found pink things that you might find in someone's bedroom, a girl or a woman. The ceiling is made up of onesies that are all sewn together with the arms hanging down, and the walls are wallpapered with dresses or nightgowns. And then there's in the center there's a bed and a love seat, and there's a dresser, and all different things that would make up a bedroom.
And hula hoops,
giant egg, ironing board, clothes.
So moving away from pink, this is the piece that really, I mean, I looked at this and I really had to look to see that this isn't a painting.
Yeah.
That this is really a three-dimensional structure and that you could kind of put your head in and be inside it.
Yeah. This piece is currently on view in Louisville, Kentucky at a place called 21C Museum and Hotel. And 21C is a chain of museums and hotels that are mostly in the center part of the country. There's one in Chicago, St. Louis, or there is going to be one in St. Louis, Louisville. I don't remember. I think Kansas City, maybe. I think there's like eight of them, maybe 8 or 10. And this piece that's called The Garden, and it's a bedroom. And on the right side, you can see a bed that has bunnies on it. There's a love seat on the left. It's about a 18 by 20 foot room, and the ceilings are made up of floor length floral dresses that create this large circular sort of flower form. And that's about 8 feet high, the ceiling. And this piece is at 21C Museum and Hotel in Louisville, Kentucky. And it will be up there on view until approximately December of this year of 2022. And the thing that's kind of wonderful about the 21C Museum and Hotels is that they are museums that are free and open to the public and open 24 hours a day, because they're in a very large sort of extended hotel lobby.
Right.
So anyone can go in at any time and view the art. That's
neat. We need a few around here.
Yeah.
And in this as well, there's a couple of little sort of social commentary, mostly just in the selection of objects. It's I do like the mom pillow over on the left there, but this is just an incredibly vibrant piece.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm also supposed to be where our title of our thing here is A Life in the Arts, and kind of the whole purpose and point of this is we look at people, making a life in the arts ain't easy, and we want to talk to people about how they've done it, and we've talked to people who've done street magic in New York City and other things, but and we have a couple who do monumental art that's like literally all over the world. So there's all different things, all different ways that you can go from a sort of whatever normal arts background is, being a painter, something people would say, artist, that's what that is, to creating all sorts of other lives. And this is just gorgeous. So you studied at Cooper Union and you got your master's at Mason Gross. How did that education lead into, where was the path? Because that's kind of my real interest, is like, how do you find that path into, your own unique form of self-expression from what may be a fairly standard arts curriculum?
Yeah, well, I do feel like I was very fortunate that right off the bat, when I was at Cooper Union in New York, starting in 1979, I started school there when I was 18, and there were a lot of really kind of cutting edge avant-garde artists that were teaching. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I learned a lot about how to go about expressing what I wanted to say. And I did at various times, especially right after being at Cooper Union, feel like sort of have this idea of, what's the point of this? What is art doing? Like, I sort of kind of felt like maybe I didn't need to be an artist and that I should abandon that path. And I kind of did that for a year or maybe two. And I was miserable. I just was really unhappy and, got kind of depressed trying to do other things. And I just realized that I just am an artist at heart. And that's what I need to be doing. I felt like that was the thing. Making art is kind of the thing I'm best at doing. And so I just continued to pursue it and went on to graduate school. And I think I just had a real drive, like a real inner kind of drive that I had something to say and that this is what I wanted to do. And I wasn't driven to be a wealthy person. I was really driven to share my vision and, share my artistic vision. That was sort of what my drive was.
Yeah, I remember a wonderful story. Madeleine L'Engle, the writer, tells how she got the 42nd rejection letter for the book that went on to win the Newbery Award Medal, A Wrinkle in Time. And she went, oh my God, I guess I'm not really a writer. And the only thing she could think to do about that revelation was to go write about it.
Yeah.
So there you are.
Yeah, that's really true. I mean, you just have to kind of, in a certain sense, sort of tune out the world, tune out rejections, or like to be a really creative sort of person in the world, whether it's a writer or a choreographer or a visual artist, you're kind of almost by definition going against the grain. So, you have to just learn to just believe in yourself and your own, what you're doing, and just keep doing it regardless of any kind of rejection.
Well, and I just nudged the mouse, which skipped us on to the next slide, which is one of my favorites. So I'm very happy it did that. This was at Olana, right?
Yes.
This was an installation at the Olana, which was the home of Frederick Church. One of the other things that Todd had mentioned is that, you now have a house near the Hudson River School where that was born. And he was wondering if that had influenced you at all, but I don't know. I think that whatever influence that had is filtered through a rather original vision of your own.
Yeah, well, I feel like I was really a pretty, formed artist by the time I became, really aware. I mean, I was sort of aware of the Hudson River School, but by the time I was really fully aware of it, I already was sort of on my path as an artist. But I do definitely feel an affinity to Thomas Cole in particular, and to some degree Church. But Thomas Cole was really, in a certain, I don't know if he would call himself this, but in a sense, he was an early environmentalist. He really was concerned about what was happening to the environment around him, to the Catskills. At that point, there was the tanning industry was beginning, and he was seeing this, a little bit of the destruction of the natural world, or the change that was happening, that man's, effect on the natural world, and his work really spoke to that. And so I feel like I have a definite affinity in that sense, because the work that is here, this cardinal surrounded by zinnias, this memento mori piece, is really talking about this is a cardinal that I found on the side of the road, and I'm kind of documenting what's happening to my immediate surroundings with this work, and the effect that roads and large plate glass windows and the human impact on this kind of pristine and beautiful area I'm really thinking about too. And yeah.
I think we have another example we can move right along to. Yes, there we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a Downy Woodpecker that I don't remember the exact story of this, although I do have them all written down. And with this work, what I do is I find the bird or the small creature, or someone else finds it and gives it to me. And then I try to make the piece right on the day when the bird is found. And so this bird was found, it probably was found in the winter or in the off season of my garden, because those are geranium petals. So I probably took those petals from a geranium that was blooming in my house and surrounded the bird with that. But what a lot of the pieces, like the cardinal, the previous image, that cardinal was found in the fall, in the early fall, when the zinnias were in full bloom in my garden. And I collected the zinnias and put them around the bird. And I'm sort of trying to document a moment in time, like this is what was happening on this day. This is what was blooming in the garden when this bird met its untimely death by, a speeding car or whatever it happened to have been.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to move along here too. And we're back. This is a real assemblage.
Mm-hmm.
This is called Reflecting Pool, I believe.
Yes.
And wow, I'm just looking here, and many of the things that are in here, it would have taken a lot of effort, not just to find those. I mean, many of those objects you can find in a hardware store, but you had to find blue ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they aren't all blue.
And this piece is made up, almost entirely of found blue plastic objects. So that pieces of plastic items that have previously been used and either completely discarded, or I found them at, the Goodwill or at a yard sale or a thrift shop. And this piece, Reflecting Pool, I through collecting the color, same with the pink, but with the blue, collecting it, I first was collecting it thinking about pink is for girls and blue is for boys. But the more I collected and looked at the color blue, I saw that it was really, that this color is really used as a marketing tool in relation to water and sort of clean water and water sports and water activities. And so I was interested in assembling these things and pointing that out, and kind of thinking about also this, the plastic and how so much plastic is single-use plastic, and
Right.
how kind of tragic that is. And another thing I like to think about with plastic is how it's really something that's exists in this moment in time right now. When my grandparents were young, it didn't exist. There wasn't plastic. And I like to imagine and hope that my great or great great grandchildren, that they, or that generation, who knows if I'll have great grandchildren, but that generation, that plastic also won't exist. It'll just be a memory. Sadly, it'll end up probably being this thin layer that surrounds the earth. But I like to imagine and hope that we will move away from plastic, especially from single-use plastic.
There's little pieces in here that I love the blue lobster.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all like, I really tried to show that a lot of this is very water themed, water related. And I think I would like to make one other point about this piece, which is this piece, Reflecting Pool, is actually going to be installed and on view this summer, starting June 25th at Art Omai in Ghent, New York. And Art Omai is has an exhibition gallery building there, which is really beautiful and modern, but it's also really known as a sculpture park, and they have fabulous sculptures outside. But I'll be showing this as well as other pieces in a solo show in the gallery beginning June 25th, and that will run through September 25th.
And thank you, because that's another question we were going to ask, is where can people come and see your work in the near future? That's great.
Yeah, I'm mentioning it specifically because this exact piece will be shown there. I mean, it'll look like this, but the pieces, I have to assemble it. Yeah. So it'll look slightly different. And this is what you might call ombre or gradated. The blues are arranged in shades of blue in order to make it have more of the feeling of water.
Well, it also gives a kind of it gives you more feeling of depth and, of different lands within the pool. Yeah. Well, one of the things that we do like to ask people is so you just determined that the thing that you wanted to do was this, and had the tenacity to or at least stop listening to the people who tell you that no, we don't want you to do this. But what would you offer as advice if someone is a starting out visual artist? And it's interesting. One of the things was Todd notes that you had early in your career, you had a show that really launched your career. It's like writing the second novel. The first one is is finding your own voice, and then the second one sometimes is that hard act to follow thing. What would you offer as advice about dealing with he calls it the sophomore slump?
Yeah. Well, I think it's I guess one thing is one thing is to not get too good at doing something else.
Yeah, that'll do it.
But I think it's just a matter of having a determination and not letting things stop you from continuing on, and from just believing in yourself and just continuing to make the work and to stay really dedicated to it. And I feel like for years I've just really worked hard at doing what I do and making my work. And I also am just often really compelled to do it. And so I think that it's just as simple as believing in yourself and not giving up and just continuing to work hard.
I'm trying to think if yes, I knew there was one more slide. And so this is what the title,
it's called Nightstand.
Okay.
Nightstand, and could also be called Nightlight, but it's Nightstand. It's a bedside table that's covered with these bound lamps and figurines of women. And this piece is going to be in I have 3 solo shows that are opening within the next 2 months. And this one is going to be at PPOW Gallery, which is a gallery that represents me in New York City. And the show's title is Bound Angel. And that opens July 7th and runs until August 19th. And it has large sculptural pieces and drawings and paintings. And this piece, I believe, is going to be exhibited in the window. They're located on Broadway, just below Canal Street. So if you find yourself in Manhattan during that time, please check out this show. And if it happens to be at a time when the gallery's not open, you will definitely be able to see this piece in the front.
Sure.
Yeah.
Please email us particulars on, and you said you had a third show.
Yes, the other show is called Memento Mori, and that's going to be at Pamela Salisbury Gallery in Hudson, New York, which is located on Warren Street. That show is the first one to open, and that will open June 11th and runs until July 10th. And that show is going to be all of the bird and flower imagery. So those are all scanned, all that scanned work with the birds, the work that was at Olana last summer. And yeah, I'm really excited to be showing my work there, and showing that aspect of the work will be really great. The one at Art Oma is titled Flood, that piece, and that show will have sculptures and some paintings in that show.
That's wonderful.
So, yeah.
Well, people have lots of opportunities to see different aspects of your wonderful work in the near future.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just wonderful.
Thank you.
Well,
I think I'm going to just mention one more show, which is a group show that
please.
I'll only have one piece in the show, and I think I'll have another piece on the grounds outside. But it's at Lyndhurst Mansion, which is
Yes.
a fabulous historic home that's on the Hudson River in Tarrytown, just on the other side of the Tappan Zee Bridge, now the Cuomo Bridge. And that's a show that's called Women's Work. It's a group exhibition that has historic work and contemporary work. And there was a fabulous write-up about it recently in the New York Times. And it's kind of great because it's pairing historic work with contemporary artist work, and around the issue of domestic artwork and objects made by women throughout time. So
That sounds like another thing that people should run over and see.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show.
Well, listen, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful thing. And usually when I say that, Todd will magically appear to give there he is. Okay. Shazam. Anyway, this has just been a wonderful conversation, and thank you so much for sharing your beautiful, beautiful things and objects and collections.
Well, thank you. It was talking with you. I appreciated the questions. Thank you so much.
Well, what we typically do is from here, we sort of pull a blog post together where we can include links to all your upcoming shows, which is great. And also we embed the video from our YouTube channel where all of our videos from this series are held. I just wanted to say a few things for masterwork related, and that is, folks who are watching this, we just announced that we are making available some community arts grants with a deadline of June 17th. So check those out if you'd like. And we also have a new date for the In Concert with Colin Lynch. That's July 21st at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Morristown, where our premier awardee from last year will be giving an organ recital. Very, very happy about that. And Portia, I just want to personally thank you. One thing when you could be available for this, of course, I was talking about you to a bunch of friends. And for those that weren't aware of you, I would show your work. And every time I did, there was an audible gasp when people, and it was caught somewhere between like awe and wonder. And I wonder if the extent to which you have the pleasure of experiencing that when people see your work, because it's both, so rich in detail, and also just, kind of hauntingly beautiful is the phrase I come up with.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's really nice to hear. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Well, thank you again for sharing some of your experience with us. We're very thrilled for that and very excited about your solo shows coming up. Wow, it's
It's
a
great.
banner year for Portia Munson.
Yes.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Okay. Well, anyway, so thank you for attending or watching this on the YouTube channel sometime in the indeterminate future. And anyway, thank you very much, Portia. And we'll be back next week, or if you're on the YouTube channel, then none of that matters, but we'll be more with more lives in the arts. Thank you very much and good evening.
Thank you.
And we will